The following is a Mission Studios podcast.
Please remember, my little Podverse family, like, subscribe, and leave a comment on your podcast platform of choice. It helps me out and works the algorithm to get better rankings and bring our little podcast family to more listeners. Thank you, and on with the show. Welcome to the Podverse podcast. We like to stir up minds, emotions, and thoughts. Episodes will be emotional, some will be a bit comical, and everything else in between. But all will have a message and be given from the heart. So sit back, get comfy, and enjoy the journey. Where does it end? Where does hate and prejudice stop? How do we as a society discard the negative, take a breath, and release the obnoxious and self-deprecating thoughts? Then grab hold of one another and allow love to be what binds us. If we look back, can anyone see a time and a place where love was the engine empowering our society? We, human beings, need to stop finding reasons to point each other out and start pulling each other in, accepting and making reasons to love, not reasons to hate. We as a society concentrate on creating so much pain and suffering, it has become a way of life. Violence, distrust, and social misgivings have had such a deep hold on me throughout my past. I am just so friggin' done with finding reasons to be hurtful and violent. I no longer want to look for the worst in people. I have for so long found what I thought were valid reasons to distrust and dislike on a whole. I have for the last few years been on a journey to reach a point in my life where change and being better have become my normal. So now I look into this potentially amazing society we as a human race have created and wonder, how did we go so wrong? When did we decide picking up a weapon was more effective in conflict resolution than opening our ears and being present in the moment to resolve a conflict? Listening to an adversary and hearing a problem in their words, not judging them for their hurt, accepting what was ours and own and looking inside to find a resolution. So many place prejudgment on someone because of their race or their religious beliefs, or they dislike the clothes they're wearing because they're not the popular fashion trend right now. Seems any reason, no matter how serious or trivial, is a good reason to dislike or cause conflict. I'm going to put it out there, and probably be dragged through the mud for it. But if you have listened to some of my past pod episodes, you know I have a pretty thick skin. So friggin' drag away, but this has to be said. Race, religion, clothing, political, and all these sorts of views are really crappy reasons to hate or cause injury to another human being. I personally pay attention to what has happened in the past. The violence, the repression, the totally disgusting and reprehensible way a lot of human beings were treated in the past. Why do we allow it to be a tool for causing conflict? Why can we not, in a peaceful, earnest way, sit down with our fellow human beings and find resolution? The truth is, there's a reason they call it the past. Because it happened yesterday, last year, 100 years ago, and on and on. Yes, we need to learn from it. Yes, we need to heed its lessons and apply them to be better as a society. But we do not need to ball them up and use them as a club for the rest of existence to beat down everyone that does not agree. A lot of people will ridicule me and say this comes from a place of privilege, and I do not understand. Heck, I cannot understand. Just a brief rehash of where I was in my yesterlife. I was a street kid and a cocaine addict for around 14 years. Beat up, kicked around, a statistic, worthless cokehead with no reason to live or move forward. I was lower than a useless human being, a total drain on society. If you want to hear more about that, listen to episode 2, The Journey is Different. You'll see the privilege I come from. I've held a gun against someone's head. I did horrendous acts of violence against other human beings. I have also been the one getting his ass handed to him on a hamburger bun. I have been shot, arrested, beat down, and put in the hospital. These things do not make me special. They did eventually make me open my eyes and see the horror I created in some people's lives and take responsibility and ownership for the crap that I have pulled in the past. Our pasts do not give us license to continue or accept someone doing it to another human being. Too many of us have the mindset that it is what it is and we have to deal with it. No, we don't. What we have to do is grow up, stop finger pointing and blaming, We need to get our crap together and stop using the errors of the past as our reasons to continue being crappy people. What it does, however, give us is insight and wisdom to learn how not to repeat our past. We have intelligence and a good sense of reason. How I or we react is totally in our hands. We have no right to blame others about how we as individuals react. So why do we all accept the ignorance and throw away the lessons that we could use to change our society for the better? Yes, I did these things. I am responsible. I was that horrible person most cringed from as they walked in downtown Toronto. I was the people I mentioned a few minutes ago. However, I have over time learned lessons, opened my eyes, and developed a love and strong respect for others. I have also learned to expect the best out of others, and when it is not present, to look inside for greatness and persuade it out. Teach them not to be what I was. Guide and accept, love and teach. Show each person the greatness I see in them, and yes, everyone has greatness inside of them. We should all look for and bring out the greatness that is in our fellow human beings. We live in an educated society. We have survived into the 21st century. Hate, dishonesty, and ridicule should mostly be a thing of the past. But unfortunately, it is still prevalent in our society. There are a few that are trying to make it better, but maybe the rest of us need to open our eyes and our hearts and start finding reasons to unite in respect and resolve our differences with our intellects, not our bravado. It's question in your head time. What are some of the lessons from your past that you have learned from and put into practice? When was the last time you saw a racial or violent act? Did you stop and watch, or did you actually do something about it? From what you can see, are you really doing enough to make our world a better place and be rid of the prejudices, dishonesty, and violence? We as a society have to start to pull together and genuinely care about one another, not just go through the motions and make it look good to society around you that's watching. Step out and stand up. Carry your pride high and teach others to be the best that they can be. Be brave enough to teach others. This week, my little Podverse family, let's go out and look at the world with new accepting eyes and open our loving hearts. Let's do something. One thing every day to allow us to stand proud knowing we did something to better another person's life. Love has to win. Be safe, be informed, and be well, my little Podverse family. I love you all. See you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Podverse podcast. Whatever you take from this message, it is given freely and with the utmost respect. Any support for the Podverse podcast is always welcome and can be left at our website, www.pod-versecom. Whether support is by way of suggestion, story, constructive criticism, or maybe you wish to sponsor an episode, there is never any obligation. We just hope to create a wonderful experience for you in this Podverse community. Also, be sure to check us out on our social media. Join us on Facebook at Podverse Podcast Group or on Twitter at pod_verse. Chat with you in the next episode.